Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live 1,000 Years. I'm your host and the author of the book, Brent Jordan. Today, we're going to be reading from chapter 5. It's entitled, Where Do We Come From? We're going to be studying Dr. Jim Tucker, medical doctor. So let's get going. Dr. Jim Tucker, MD, is a board-certified child psychiatrist. He's also the medical director of the Child and Family Psychiatric Clinic and an associate professor of psychiatry and neurobehavioral science at the University of Virginia School of Medicine. His main research interests are similar to Dr. Stevenson, who also works at the University of Virginia. Children who remember their previous lives, as well as natal and prenatal memories. He's the author of the book, Life Before Life, a scientific investigation of children's memories of previous lives, and another book, Return to Life. Both books present an overview of over 40 years of reincarnation research at the Division of Perceptual Studies. In the book Return to Life, Dr. Tucker tells the story of James Leninger, the son of a Christian couple in the state of Louisiana. James remembered being a World War II fighter pilot in a previous life. As a child, he loved toy planes. On his second birthday, James started having horrific nightmares 4 or 5 times per week about being in a plane crash. During the day, he talked about this plane crash, saying he had been a pilot and had flown off a boat. When his father asked him the name of the boat, James said, Natoma. James also said that he had been shot down by the Japanese, that he had been killed at Iwo Jima, and that he had a friend on the boat named Jack Larson. When research was conducted regarding James' report, there was indeed an aircraft carrier called the USS Natoma Bay that was stationed in the South Pacific during World War II. This aircraft carrier had sailed to Iwo Jima. It had also lost one pilot there, a young man named James Huston, whose plane crashed exactly the way James Leninger described it. Struck in the engine, exploding into fire, crashing into the water, and rapidly sinking. When the researchers investigated the pilot of the plane next to James Huston, the pilot was none other than Jack Larson. Dr. Tucker worked for several years on reincarnation research projects with Dr. Ian Stevenson, MD, before taking over the research after Dr. Stevenson's retirement in 2002. While Dr. Stevenson focused on cases in Asia, Dr. Tucker focused on United States children. Dr. Tucker reported that in 70% of the cases involving children who remembered their past lives, the deceased died from an unnatural cause, suggesting that traumatic death may be linked to the hypothesized survival of the self. Dr. Tucker further discovered that the time period between death and rebirth is on average about 16 months, and that unusual birthmarks and birth defects commonly match the fatal wounds suffered by the decedent. Dr. Tucker believes the science of quantum mechanics can offer a mechanism by which human memories and emotions carry over from one life to the next life. He theorizes that the act of observation collapses wave equations, and therefore the self may not merely be a byproduct of the brain, but rather a separate entity that impinges on matter. Dr. Tucker believes that viewing the self as a fundamental, non-material part of the universe makes it possible to conceive of the self continuing to exist after the death of the brain. In order to better understand this scientific concept, Dr. Tucker provided the analogy of a televisor and a television transmission. The televisor is required to decode the television signal, but it does not create the signal. In a similar way, the brain may be required for awareness to express itself, but may not be the source of the awareness.